A ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, a ton of news about stimulus payments, a ton of news is here for you on stimulus checks. Joe Biden can do something about this? First of all, let's get into the most important news. It's that Social Security benefits, no matter what, play a major role for your retirement and for the older Americans especially. Now, there could be big changes on the horizon. Social Security is facing a shortfall. A shortfall that could be catastrophic, that is. The program is paying out more in benefits than it's receiving from taxes. If lawmakers don't find a solution soon, things could get nasty. There are several proposals on the table. Social Security benefits are funded primarily through payroll taxes. Workers pay into the program now, and the most of the money is paid out to retirees. So let's not forget about that right now though. These taxes are not even enough to pay out benefits in full. Just to cover Social Security, it has been dipping into its trust funds.
We'll have to start thinking about, at least, the looming debt limit deadline. Democrats' message: political brinksmanship could drive up costs for ordinary households. A recent analysis by the center-left think tank Third Way estimated that an actual default could result in the loss of 3 million jobs, a $20,000 drop in the average retirement savings, and a $130,000 increase in the cost of a mortgage. And Republicans argue this is all fear-mongering. House Budget Committee Chairman Jody Arrington tweeted, "Democrats and Republicans must seize this opportunity to rein in unsustainable spending and reorient the nation's fiscal trajectory before it is too late." Now, top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell was confident yesterday that the country would not face a financial crisis.
In the end, I think the important thing to remember is that America must never default on its debt. It never has and never will. But we'll end up in some kind of negotiation with the administration over what.
So both Democratic and Republican lawmakers, everybody, are negotiating on Americans receiving universal basic income payments. This is some good news. It has been announced up to $18,000 may be claimed by several people that are experiencing financial difficulties. So if you qualify for this extra stimulus check, be sure to watch this entire video because you definitely don't want to miss out on it. So the past round stimulus checks have been given to people, and more and more Americans are feeling the need for universal basic income. But many lawmakers in certain states and cities are getting used to this idea. Universal basic income is a set of recurring payments that individuals get from the government. These can be paid out every month, several times a year, or just once annually. Now, this is an idea that entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who recently left the Democratic Party, centered his 2020 presidential campaign around. Now, the good news is that states across the country are beginning to implement their own relief plans that include sending out state relief payments. For a while now, Alaska has been giving its citizens checks under the Alaska Permanent Fund. The fund, which has been around since 1982, was designed to provide state residents, citizens, with a portion of state oil revenues. The Sovereign Wealth Fund pays out annual dividends to eligible citizens. To qualify, you must be an Alaska resident for at least a year, and you're not eligible for this if you've been convicted. Last year's payment went out to 643,000 citizens in Alaska. That totaled around $1,200 per person. The highest payout occurred in 2008 when the payment was around $2,000. Now more money is headed into the pockets of thousands of people who live in Chicago. The Chicago City Council yesterday approved a multi-million-dollar budget, which includes hundreds of dollars for thousands of households in the Windy City. This makes it the largest basic income pilot program in the United States. To qualify, individuals must earn less than $35,000 per year. Participants will be chosen by random. That means you can't apply yourself. Now, the money for this plan is provided under Biden's American Rescue Plan. The passage comes a day after LA announced its program to help thousands of families in the city. The Chicago program is meant to relieve the financial burden on families affected by the crisis. Hundreds of thousands of people in Chicago lost their jobs during the first 6 months of the crisis, and about 18% of people living in Chicago are below the federal.
Economists tell us, spend the money, invest the money for those who need it the most, because they will spend it. It will be a stimulus, or at least a stabilization and that's a good thing.
The argument is over how much is appropriate at this particular juncture as we struggle to get the economy back.
According to state officials in Connecticut, healthcare workers, grocery store employees, and private sector employees who staffed vital services during the first 2 years of the crisis can begin applying for up to $1,000. It won't be clear until early October where the applicants will receive as much as $1,000, and that's because legislators and the governor, Ned Lamont, allocated just $30 million for the program. He said that Connecticut's essential workers have gone above and beyond during the crisis to keep the state running and safe. The new premium pay program is another way for us to return the favor, for these funds are truly meaningful. Every essential worker needs to know that they're available. To be eligible, an applicant must have worked between March 10th and May 7th of 2022 in one of these occupations that the state has listed. Some of the frontline workers in these categories include healthcare personnel. Eligible applicants must earn at least. Some of the frontline workers in these categories include healthcare personnel, food and agricultural workers, grocery store staff, and public transit workers. Applicants must earn less than $150,000 per year and cannot be employed by a federal or state entity. Full-time workers who earn less than $100,000 can apply for a $1,000 grant. Those earning more than $100,000 but less than $150,000 are eligible for grants on a sliding scale, ranging as low as $200. Part-timers working less than 30 hours a week can apply for a $500 grant. The application period will run until October 1st, and the goal is to process requests within a 60-day window. And for the company of Lowe's, the CEO said that in recognition of high inflation, we're providing $55 million in bonuses to our hourly frontline associates this quarter. And though there has been a slight decrease in gas and travel costs, recently the impacts of inflation are still affecting Americans, making it tougher for families to afford groceries and other essential goods. Microsoft, ExxonMobil, Walmart, USA have also offered bonuses, pay raises, and even gift cards to employees. But still, many of the nation's employers are still not paying their workers a living wage. The company website states that Lowe's employs around 300,000 associates, but it is not specified how much money each worker will receive and over what time period.
Between the White House and administration and Democrats up on Capitol Hill. Earlier today, both the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and the Senate Republican leader, the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, were on CNBC, and they explained really the fundamental philosophical dilemma here, which is all about how much is the U.S. government going to spend. Here's what they said.
Back on its feet and get the country in a place where it can sustain itself until we get a vaccine.
Now, Melissa, lawmakers had talked about an idea of having a deal by Friday morning. It looks like there's not a whole lot of time to pull something that big together by that timeline. But one of the questions about this meeting on Capitol Hill that's going on now is, can they at least agree to that price tag? Can they come up with a figure? Republicans have been around $1 trillion. Democrats have been $3 trillion or higher. Can they agree on a compromise figure? Can they just simply call it $2 trillion and start negotiating about what's going to be in there? That might be something that's doable this hour, but we'll wait and see what they say when they come out of those closed doors.
That Friday deadline is tomorrow Friday, right, Eamon? Not next Friday, not the following. It's tomorrow Friday. Right. And then the Senate goes on a scheduled recess.
Right. So the